Hello, and welcome to Martinis and Bikinis, the podcast for everything under the sun. I am your hostess, Veronica, and I am here to help you navigate your 20s through all things lifestyle, beauty, and fashion. So, if you're ready, let's dive into today's episode. Well, hello, mother.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. This is such an honor.
I know. You
Been
said that you
watching-
felt like you were on stage. You are.
Yes. I've been watching all your podcasts, and
Aw,
now I get to be on one.
I know.
It's
The people were
exciting.
asking for you.
Oh, they all ask for you.
Yeah, but you're visiting New York this week
Yes.
for a few days,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe you can tell the audience where we're going.
Well, we're going to the UK.
Yeah.
First to London, then to Bath by train,
Mm-hmm.
and then to Dorset, the beach area, which is also a Jurassic coast. It's called the Jurassic
Oh,
Coast.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I feel like that's an area I don't know a lot about, so I'm excited to see it. But we're actually going on a family reunion.
Yes, we're going on a family reunion.
So I can maybe start this story,
Yes.
but basically there's this website called Baber Family Tree, and
Yes.
that's my mother's last name. And it is basically this thing that runs in the family, I assume, that everybody is obsessed with genealogy.
Yes.
Because I know that you're super into it, and apparently all of your long distance relatives are as well. But they have this entire website. It's like an entire family tree connecting people. We were on it. It's this gigantic web of how all of these random people are related to one another. So you found a Facebook group and basically started this entire family reunion trip, which you can probably go into more detail about. But
Yes. I actually, during the coronation of King Charles, I got on and said it would be nice if we'd have a family reunion, around that time. And then all of a sudden somebody got on, Pamela Anderson.
is that really your name?
Yeah, she's a Baber. I guess that might be her maiden name, but she got on and said she was organizing one.
That is
So-
not her name. That's hilarious.
Pamela Anderson.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's kind of iconic.
Yeah.
I love it. So
So-
they basically planned a whole trip around you.
Well, I don't know if they planned it around me, but maybe I instigated it.
So who's going on this trip? I literally am going into this with a blind eye.
I'm not really sure. It's going to be several Babers from the United States, and a lot of them are concentrated in Virginia, because that's originally where Robert Baber left England in the 1500s and landed in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe not 1500s.
It's okay.
It might have been 17.
Somewhere around there.
But she is a Episcopal priest, and she's going to be having a church service because we actually have an ancestor, Sir Edward Baber, who is buried there, St. Andrew's Church, with his wife, Lady Catherine,
Wow. We're like royalty.
and her father was mayor of London back in 1500s.
Wow.
So they're buried in what you call what do you call those tombs that are
I don't know.
where they have the image of them on top?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Sarcophagus.
Oh.
They're buried
Yeah.
and they have their own chapel at St. Andrew's Church, and so we're going to be having a church service. And then afterwards, we're meeting at the old schoolhouse down the road to discuss genealogy, if anybody has any questions about where they might, fit into the tree.
Wow. How many people do we know?
I'm not sure.
I'm
There's
just
going to
along
be
for the ride, clearly.
It's international, whatever that means, but there's going to be some English Babers, maybe German Babers. I don't know.
Wow. Well, it's funny because people have gotten really, really deep into this. And didn't they actually find out that somewhere along the line there's some relation to Jane Austen? So we're doing like a Jane Austen tour?
We're going to Stoneleigh Abbey the first day, and that is where Lady Catherine, Sir Edward Baber's wife, grew up, at Stoneleigh Abbey. And I think it was someone on her side of the family, maybe a brother so who was the father of Jane Austen. And so Jane
That's
Austen
crazy.
actually grew up or spent a lot of time at Stoneleigh Abbey.
Wow. Well, I'm excited to see it.
So we are related to her through Lady Catherine. Yeah, that's cool. That's probably
Yeah.
why you and my sister are such good English
I don't know if that's
Good writers.
why. But
and English students.
well, I'm just gonna use that. I'll carry that to the grave for sure. But so I'm excited to have you here in New York. What have you thought? You know, the last 2 days.
It's been a long time since I came. We came here for Thanksgiving.
And we
went to
did come
see
here
the
for
Music Man,
Thanksgiving.
which was excellent.
It was.
Except
Hugh Jackman was in it, but we actually went on a night where it was his understudy.
Right,
So
and he did a fabulous job.
I always find that the understudies typically do not a
Yes.
better job, I would say. I feel like they're all so talented, but I feel like they have their time to show off.
Yes,
You know,
I was
so.
happy for him.
Me
Yeah,
too.
that he got to carry it off.
Yeah. So, what was it like raising me my whole life?
You were just always a beautiful child.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Yeah, you had lots of little blonde curls.
I brought you on so that I could
Fair
have an ego session.
skin, fair skin, and just so beautiful. And of course, your babysitter, Katie, she always bought you the cutest little clothes. So you're always really beautifully dressed. And
Yeah, she's the best. Shout out Katie.
you were fairly normal. You liked to play with dolls and Barbies. And then our friend Tom, he would turn over the coffee table and make a boat. And, you'd make like, a little box.
We need to get you into the Barbie movie. You need to see it.
Yes, I want to see the Barbie.
It was really
movie.
good.
Yes.
I went by
definitely.
myself. I sat in the theater by myself. I cried. I laughed. It was great.
I loved my Barbies growing up because
Aw.
I had a little house that folded up. I could put them all in there and fold it up and take it when I go to spend the night with someone or my grandmother. And I just thought it was so cool.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this isn't your first time on the stage. Weren't you an actress at one point in time in New Orleans? Tell them about that.
It started out in high school when I starred in The Boyfriend,
Oh.
which was a little stage production we did. And I was Madame Dubonnet. And my co-star was Ed Ball. He was Percy. And he actually went on to write a very best-selling novel called Slaves of the Family, which was, I think, #1 on the New York Times best-selling list.
Wow.
He was my co-star. Then, later on in life, I fell into the movie industry. Just sort of fell in.
Mm-hmm.
They knocked on my father's door. I was moved back from Illinois, and asked if they could use his house to film a movie with Dennis Hopper. It was called Barry Seal, Double Crossed, which was actually remade later with Tom Cruise.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if it was called Double Crossed, but it was about Barry Seal.
We'll have to look into it.
Yeah, it was.
I'm so bad at watching movies, but I would watch that.
It's not that old, several years ago.
Okay.
With Tom Cruise. And then I just went on to work in different movies that were being filmed in New Orleans,
Mm-hmm.
because they were filming a lot of movies in New Orleans at the time. So,
We recently found an old one of yours on YouTube.
oh, you did?
Yeah, remember we were going to watch it together?
Yeah. It was called Guests of the Emperor, but they might have changed the name of it. That was the working name of it.
Mm-hmm.
They
It was
may
like an
have changed
HBO
it.
movie.
Yeah, it was with Gina Rowlands. She was
Mm-hmm.
really fun to watch.
Well,
I just had like a line or two, but it was Gina Rowlands and Annabeth Gish. But yeah, they had taken an old shooting range and built these little huts. We were prisoners, women prisoners during World War II in a Japanese prison camp.
mm-hmm.
So they kind of did a makeshift, prison camp,
Yeah.
and built these little huts. And
Wow. Didn't you go to Mexico?
oh, I
And
did.
they gave you...
Yes, with a French film production that was called Partners in Crime. that was really nice.
Yeah.
I don't know whatever happened to that movie. I don't know if it went across the pond or what, but we had some wonderful locations, and they found some terrific locations that I would never have seen just being a tourist in Mexico. And they would have these beautiful spreads of food and wine, and they really know how to live, those French people.
Didn't they give you this like weird tequila with like a worm in it?
Well, we were in like some forest, like rainforest or something, and we had to cross this little like swinging bridge, and then they had this hut, and the guy was serving tequila in the middle of the woods. And in fact, some guy came up with, he had 2 burros, and he tied the burros up, and he got some tequila. So they served me some tequila, a shot, and I don't know what it was, but it wasn't normal.
Oh, you were hallucinating?
Yes.
Oh,
definitely.
Geez.
Had I known that, I probably wouldn't have drank it, but I learned the hard way.
Well, it sounds like you had a fun time in that whole industry.
It was really fun. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun time.
Yeah.
And I made some money too.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well,
Met a lot of fun people.
you've done like so many fun things in life, but I know we don't have a ton of time for this episode. I'm trying to keep it quick, but I actually went on my Instagram stories and I asked people to ask me questions for this specific episode, and I thought it would be so fun since you were in town to ask me the questions and then we can kind of talk about them.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I sent them to your phone, so feel free to
Okay.
pull that up. You don't have to ask all of them, just anyone that seems interesting.
Okay. Let's see here. Is there any particular? There's 5 questions. You want me-
There's 5 questions
How many
that I
would you like me
highlighted.
to ask you?
Just ask me your favorite one.
Just one?
Well, just right now, yeah, one.
Okay. Well, tell me about starting a life in New York City,
Oh, okay.
because since that's what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been good. I feel like there's a lot of ideas that people have about New York and the people, but I feel like a lot of it is just noise. I feel like I've met so many nice people over the last month. Just obviously I haven't been here super long, but it's been really fun just kind of challenging myself, reinventing myself somewhat. So I've really enjoyed it.
You seem like you've settled in really naturally.
Thanks. Yeah. I feel like I was kind of meant to be here, you know. I think it was a long time coming, but I loved being in DC. I think it was just time for a change, and I just really needed to kind of put myself out there and experience the world in a different way, you know.
And this New York might be more conducive to what you want to do.
Yeah, there's a lot more creatives here.
Right.
I feel like in DC, not everyone, but there's a lot of people that are working for the government. And even if they aren't directly like working like with the government, they're somehow associated. So, you know, it's cool to kind of just be with people that have the same interests as me and can collaborate, and it's been really fun. A lot of things to do. Everything's so accessible here. Everything that I would need is on the block that I live in. So many restaurants, so many workout classes, just matchas, coffees, like anything that you can imagine. Spas is within like walking distance to wherever you live. But
Yes,
there's
lots of
constantly businesses popping up.
And also your grandfather lived here and was in radio.
He was.
Yeah, so that's sort of, you know, keeping it in the family.
I guess where I get the podcasting from.
Yes.
Yeah. But
definitely.
I do feel like a little at peace here because my dad was originally from here. Grandparents grew up here. I feel like I almost have this like angelic like peace, you know? Like I feel like they're definitely watching over me.
Well, your great aunts also lived over by the Met.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's where I am now. So
Right.
very full circle moment.
Yes.
But I love living up there. I think Uptown's actually really peaceful and nice and very more residential compared to other parts of the city. And I mean, I'm down here all the time downtown, and I love downtown, but I really like the peace and quiet. And I think it was a good transition for me, because I think if I were just to throw myself into the mix, I would have been like,
Yes.
probably a little bit more overwhelmed. So I feel like it's been like a good easing my way into the city, which has been good. But I'm kind of embarrassed because I hadn't been to Central Park for the entire month that I've lived here, and I'm maybe 3 blocks away from it, but I went yesterday.
Oh,
So,
good.
or 2 days ago.
I think you'll enjoy that, being close to the park.
Yeah, I need to be like a nature girly.
Yeah.
But you're a nature girly.
I am.
You live on a farm.
I live on a farm. After Hurricane Katrina,
Yeah.
moved from the boathouse on Lake Pontchartrain to Scott, Louisiana, the Boudin capital of the world.
It's claim to fame.
Used to be where the West begins. It still is a little bit.
I really think that you're more in your element there, though. You have your garden.
Yes.
You're one with the land.
Yes.
You're a nature girly.
Yes. I love looking out and seeing the pastures and the horses and in the garden, being able to garden, and it's just all encompassing. It's like I can stay there for days and just feel like I don't need to go anywhere. You know?
Right. Yeah. Well, are there any other questions that we can get to?
Yes, this is an interesting one. Tell us about your journey with manifestation.
Oh, I talk about this all the time. I talk about this all the time. And I feel like it's kind of gotten to be a little excessive because I talk about it so much. But I think if you truly believe things to your core and deem that they're possible, then really great things can happen in your life. And I think it's all about like truly believing it in your cells, and it really just all is so encompassing. It just eventually leads to so I think when you truly believe things to your core and your cells, the world like almost thanks you for it. And I've kind of gotten to this point where I like to like thank the world for things that I may not even have yet. And then all of a sudden I look down, like, I want to say a year later, and maybe I'd written in my manifestation journal, like, thank you for giving me this. Thank you for this. And it's crazy because I'll go back and I've accomplished everything. But I think whenever you actually give yourself the opportunity to believe that things are possible for you, they actually come to fruition. But I think putting pen to paper is a phenomenal way of doing that. So whenever I'm journaling, I make sure to write down, like, even if it's like a list of goals, or even for like New Year resolutions, like I will make sure to write down everything or make a vision board and constantly have that in my peripheral vision somehow. So like my phone background is my vision board from this year. So I'm constantly absorbing what I want my life to be like. And I think it's kind of led me to where I am now. But that's like a little short snippet.
I should pick up on that because all I do is sticky notes.
I think that's a great way.
I know, but then
it's a
I
great
throw 'em
reminder.
away. It'd be nice to have a book where I, write everything down and I can always go back and look at it.
But I think you like to set reminders for yourself. So you'll put sticky notes where, you kind of need to remember those things.
And I have a bad habit of making lists and then totally ignoring them. Like, okay, I made the list. And if I don't remember, I don't even look at it. Like, I need to look at it the next day and say, okay, I need to get this done.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll make the list and just not look at it.
Yeah. And
it's like, why did I go to the trouble?
It's okay. I think sometimes lists are meant to be almost a way to get the clutter out of our brain.
Yes.
But
so I can sleep.
I think it's good to write down maybe even like material things that you want. Like maybe you want a new car, or maybe you want to hang out with your friends more. Like I think it's good to like balance,
Yes.
your opportunities out. So whether they are like more superficial, materialistic, like that's okay. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. And then also like, I guess, how you want others to make you feel, how you want to make others feel, things like that. So yeah.
Well, when I was building the house on the property, I made a lot of lists. because there were so many things to get, and like just hooks and shelves, and I had to keep it straight with a list. But now I feel like I'm sort of complete with that,
Yeah.
So now it's just things I need to do.
I love
more
that.
or less.
I love that. Well, I don't know if we have much time for any other questions, but I do ask all of my guests this one question, and I definitely want to hear what your answer is. So if you were to drink a martini in a bikini,
Oh, gosh.
where would you be and what would you be drinking?
A martini and a bikini. Well, does it have to be one place?
No, you can. What are your options?
Well, I love going to Destin, Florida, so I wouldn't mind seaside.
Yeah.
But then Captain Don always said he wanted to go to the Turks and Caicos, and I've never been, so maybe the Turks and Caicos.
I like that. Yeah, the world is your oyster.
And maybe I would be drinking a pina colada.
Oh, I like that, like a little frozen pina colada in a martini glass.
Yeah, no, in a coconut shell.
There you go. That's perfect. Well,
coconut shell with all the fruit on top.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think that's a great answer. One of the best answers I've gotten for sure. Well,
I'm not much of a martini drinker, but I like the chocolate martinis.
Oh, yeah, those are good. A little after dessert or
the one
after
I had,
dinner.
Yeah, after the engagement party you and I were at.
Yeah.
And then we were supposed to share it, and then you left, and I had one sip.
Oh.
It was so delicious.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
We'll have to have another one.
Yeah, we'll have to have another one. We'll have one here in New York.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on, Mom.
Yes. Well, thank you.
It's such a pleasure to have you here and have you on the podcast.
I'm so honored.
What a treat.
And, good luck with everything.
Thanks.
I'm so glad that you're doing well.
Yeah. Aw, you're so sweet. Well, okay. If you guys liked this episode, remember to like, rate, and subscribe. Feel free to share it on socials. You can tag me or you can tag at Martinis and Bikinis Pod. And I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Good job. Evaluating your relationships is the number one thing that should always be on your mind. Yeah. Creating boundaries is huge, and it's something that I'm still working through. I kind of want to talk about the Bachelor franchise just for a second.
No one that goes in that show know who they are in that situation because you've never been in it. I don't care how much deep work you've done, how much you read. If you've never been in a position like that, to be so vulnerable and open, you don't really know who you are until you're in it.
I moved to a content house, which is basically just a house full of other creators that were doing Instagram or TikTok or YouTube or whatever. And it was the first place